want to get better at something. We're wanting to change. So sometimes people are interested in changing, and sometimes they're not. I want to talk to you tonight a little bit about change theory and some principles guiding change, the individual, the organizational, and a little bit about this expansive nature of change. So I do have a lot of and this represents all of us. So we're talking about behaviors related to individuals because individuals are the people that change, not organizations. Right? Individuals make up an organization. When we're looking at change at the deepest level, we're talking about how individuals relate to it. So change theory says that in any organization, this is the makeup of the population. 2.5% of the population are innovators. Those are the people who make up new ideas, inspired by something, but they put it out there, they try it, and they are risk takers. Another 13.5% are the early adopters. And people always think that because I'm a technology person that I'm an innovator, but I'm not. I'm a safe early adopter. I never buy the new technology. These guys are the ones that are waiting in the line at the Apple Store the night before the new phone goes on sale. I wait for them to work out the bugs, and then I buy the second version. Right? So early adopters. Then we have the early majority. Okay? They're watching me. Because I work out the kinks. These guys have a lot of failures. They're watching me because they like to play it safe. Then we have the late majority. They come along because this is the middle. And they are behind the curveball, and they want to be on board. And the last group is the laggards. And what change theorists have said is that we should just, they're very, 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 very resistant. And attrition is probably what we're doing for. So when you're looking at innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards, where are you on this curve in terms of your natural resistance or not resistance to change?
Oh,
thank you. Gail.
thank you, Mrs. Folger. I'm somewhere between on the first line there. I usually get something new, but I can't run it, so I have to call my sister, who
Is here.
yeah, she's there. And then, so I have like a guided tour of the early adopter thing.
Okay. So now that you understand a little bit about people and change, let me talk to you a little bit about organizational change. So, all on board. This is my Bible. They talk about the fact that, that change does not happen to outcomes. It's about changing our practices, our behaviors, right? And we know that the only way to change our behaviors is to change what's going on in here, what our beliefs are. They say that long-term change requires leadership with a sustained vision. And vision is dynamic and ever-changing, so that's never an end to the change process. Facilitating change is a team effort, and that resistance can be reduced. Okay? So we might be able to make some change to this one. Fullen is an educational change research, and he he talks about the wicked problems and the expansive nature of some of these change efforts that need to happen in organizations, and especially in educational systems where we are so deeply rooted, and we've got dynamics where our commodity, our deliverable is students' lives. And so that's not something we're really ever willing to take too large of a risk with, which some of these innovators might be able to do because they're used to failing. In education, we won't let that happen. So, goals in change are seen then as in organizations as wishful thinking. And in the context of very complex social systems, the number of variables that are related to an innovation are hugely expansive. So then you're looking at systems change. And when we have systems, that means we have isolated, potentially, groups of people who may or may not talk to one another. So when you're talking about big change, you're talking about a huge amount of leadership and organization coordination that needs to happen. So, in closing, I want you to think about going into this election time where there is a lot of resistance, and we're going to be faced with a situation where people say, get over it. We have a new candidate in place. And we need to be here and present in a way that is less resistant to whomever we see in office, and figure out ways to accommodate the new government, the new POTUS.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Impressive. So could we have 2 minutes to write down suggestions and language usually set for So please start wrapping up the comments. Since we're now pretty sure that Francisco is not going to show up. And so that we have a full meeting. I talked to Leo, and he graciously said that he will be willing to speak with 1 minute preparation. So he is our great impromptu speaker. We can talk about donkeys and elephants. better talk about the other truck. So please help me welcome Leo.
Thank you. One of the speeches I got to present a while back was associated with the steampunk concept, the concept of an alternate future in the past, where the advances in technology did not go the direction that we have participated in, but where the end of the Victorian age simply continued to improve, but stay in this idea of the age of steam, the brass and leather mode of thinking of how things are implemented. Within that concept, I was lucky enough this week to run into, and my talk was on the age before radio as we know it, where there was an entire set of alternate technologies that very much came straight out of the steampunk concept. They were great machines and men in dusters wearing goggles, making arcs through the sky. Very much an interesting tie-in between the past that we don't know about, but really happened, and how that packaged up as a steam concept. Because the steampunk concept is a piece of the different look that people adapt in terms of some of the costumes I saw at Halloween were steampunkers. They were this alternate future in the past kind of set of roles. The thing I ran into recently, and what is the other trump, is there is, in Australia, there was an era when they were mining where they developed a way to produce energy using nothing but moving water, no moving parts, no machinery. They powered entire mines and cities that were attached to them. And no transformers, no wires, none of what we consider to be essential for the idea of creating power and distributing power. What they had was something that the Romans discovered way back in Romans' time, and it was a problem as far as they were concerned. When you have water, moving water, passing over a hole where the air can get in, it traps bubbles as the water falls down. And when that water rests, the bubbles come back out. And the problems the Romans had was that that would eventually overpressurize the aqueducts, and they would rupture from that pressure that was trapped from air in the falling water. Well, these miners in Australia took that idea and did it on purpose. So they drilled a hole 300 feet deep, built an aerator, a plate with lots of holes on it on the top to make it so there were a lot of bubbles, and then had a cave, a cavern underneath for that air to come back out of the water while it stopped its fall and went horizontal. And that air built up over time. Built up, and they got to the point of somewhere between 60 and 90 psi air in this cavern, a cavern full of it. And so they ran all of the equipment from the mine, the diggers, the trip hammers, all of the pieces of equipment were air powered. They created vehicles that were run on compressed air. And they piped the compressed air to the town around the mine, and people's refrigerators were worked off of this compressed air, because one of the classic problems with compressed air is the way that we do it makes it really hot as part of the mechanical process of doing this. In this setup, you're encapsulated in water. All of the heat of compression is carried away by the water. So they had a cavern full of cold compressed air, and when you release compressed air, it chills the environment. So they, in the middle of the desert in Australia, in the 20s, had home refrigeration with no electricity, no wires, none of what we think of as the only path there is to that sort of thing. They had yet another steampunk situation. They were running off an entire town off of compressed air. In India, they're doing some things with compressed air cars as an alternate means of transportation for the very short commutes in a city environment. So these technologies reoccur, and you think, oh, this is the first time somebody thought of that, and boy, it'd be interesting if something developed out of this. And yet, in actuality, all of this alternate reality that we would picture has already happened. It is our history. It really did happen. Power produced by nothing but falling water and air. Power with no moving parts to produce it or distribute it. Food out of nothing but falling water. It's an amazing thing that when you look at what has actually happened, all of those things that you think are out here have already happened here. Never put a limit to the creativity